Hello, everybody. Fun Richie with the 10 greatest all-time 80s metal albums. Before I get started, I'm going to leave a link to a video I did with Ben Rankins, guy from Australia. He's doing this series of interviews, and they're pretty good. I had fun. And I'm going to leave a link to that. Subscribe to the Poor Sod. I really dig the guy. I like his sensibilities. It gets a little annoying with all his Australian this and that, but other than that, he's a cool guy. So, on with this video. 1980s metal. Now, believe it or not, there was music that was referred to as heavy metal before the 80s. But I'm not going to get into any of that nonsense. I mean, that's a perfect example. I mean, some people claim that Helter Skelter was the first metal album or song. Come on. Okay, anyways. I think the 80s metal sound, I think Judas Priest and the two albums that Dio did with Black Sabbath kind of like solidified, what that sound, what people referred to as metal back then. Now, I had never heard the two Dio Black Sabbath albums until maybe, I think it was 12 years ago or so. A co-worker of mine at Miller, Javier, we were talking, and he was saying that he grew up with the Dio Black Sabbath, and back then he didn't even know the Ozzy Osbourne Sabbath, and I was the other way around, and I guess it's a generational thing. But the sound of those albums kind of typified 80s metal. But we're going to start off with 1980, and we're going to start off with Judas Priest, British Steel. Now, my kids know Breaking the Law. I mean, my youngest daughter, who's into K-pop, knows that song from Beavis and Butthead. But I really dig this album, man. I actually think every song in this is great. And let's see. I did take some notes. And it's not like a bunch of fact notes. That if you want fact notes, go to Wikipedia, watch some of these other wanker videos. I'm a little more personal in my stories. How I related, or, if something happened, I'll tell that. And that's why I keep telling the same stories over and over. But anyways, let's see what I wrote about this one. Didn't write much. British Steel may be my favorite Judas Priest. And I would say it is. Some of the songs have been cited as being bullshit songs by none other than Metal Theologian. But the songs he named, I love. So I guess I like the bullshit, Metal Gods, I think he might have cited. I dig those songs. Okay, we got one more from 1980. And this is the album that I've had the least amount of time. I've had this album for a few months, not even a year. And it's Iron Maiden's debut. I think I was really impressed with this. I probably heard it 5-6 times now. And I guess this and Killers, the singer, Paul Di'Anno, he was kicked out of the band, I guess, after that, and they got the new singer, whatever his name is. But yeah, I really dig this album, man. Let's see what I said about this one. Iron Maiden. I guess after this album, they kicked Dennis Stratton, the guitarist. They fired him. And then, like I said, Paul Di'Anno, he was fired after their second album. This opens with Prowler, which is a banger. It does contain a couple of slower mid-tempo songs that I guess influenced Metallica's slower epic type songs, which I'll go into probably later. Side 1 closes with Phantom of the Opera, and I really like that song. Side 2 starts with an instrumental. And then I guess there's a song called Sanctuary, which is not on this version, but I guess it's on some. Okay, 81. One of my favorites out of this stack, actually. It's Venom, Welcome to Hell. Their debut album. Now this is much rougher and not near as polished as British Steel or the Iron Maiden. And I believe Iron Maiden got even more polished as the years went by. But I really dig this album, man. It's got a feel to it, a really grittiness that, as someone that's more into punk, I really appreciate. And let's see what I said about this one. Venom, Welcome to Hell. Right away, the first song, Sons of Satan, you can see it's rougher and doesn't have the production of British Steel. Now, the second song starts with a Judas Priest riff, but of course, it is rougher and rawer than Judas Priest. This is a monster of an album, and I think it is. I think it's great. Okay. Now we're going to go with 82. I don't even have any notes on this one. This kind of threw me off because I know this album like the back of my hand. And it's Judas Priest, Screaming for Vengeance. Now, I believe I saw them on this tour because they started the concert out with the Helium and then Electric Eye. But I have a feeling they may have started their concerts with those two songs for a number of years. So maybe I saw them in 83 or so. Regardless, this is a fantastic album. I think every song on this is great, with the exception of one on each side. And it's the second to last song on both sides. It's Take These Chains on side 1 and Fever on side 2. Those are they're going into wanker territory. And let's see what I said. Well, I didn't say anything about them. Oh well. Now we got one from 83. And Metallica, Kill 'Em All. Now I heard this a number of years after it was released. The first time I heard it was in my friend Tom's, one of his friends' cars. He was playing the cassette in the car. And I made the statement that, oh, this sounds like punk rock with guitar solos. And they thought I was crazy. And I probably was, but that was my initial reaction. And let's see what I wrote about this. It starts with a lame fade in. And then it goes into a super fast riff. And then I wrote a little bit about this is punk with guitar solos. It clearly isn't. But I had a point. The speed and riffs were the same as Discharge. And a few years later, Metallica covered Discharge. Yeah, I really dig this album, man. Didn't have much to say, did I? Another one from 83 is Show No Mercy by Slayer. Now, I saw Metallica live, but probably it was not until the 90s. I wish I had seen these guys. I lived in Downey and then Bill Gardens, which are just on the east side of the 710 freeway. And these guys lived or grew up in Southgate, which is just on the right side of the 710 freeway. Now this is fantastic, man. A brutal album, man. It's just unrelenting. And this is a Back on Black reissue, and it's fantastic. It is so dead quiet. I mean, in between the songs, it's like silence. They did a really good job. And let's see what I wrote about this one. I didn't write much. Slayer, Show No Mercy. It's harder and heavier than Kill 'Em All. the vocals are way better overall. And overall, I would say it blows the Metallica debut away. I would have to say it does. I think this is a better album than the Metallica debut. Now we got the last one from '83. It's kind of different, and it's Wheels of Steel, Volume 1. Now, the guitar playing on this is a kind of awkward. It's nothing like the other ones. This is like a private press album. This is a reissue. It came out in 2023. Originals of this, I guess, go for quite a bit. But it's a pretty awkward sounding album. Let's see what I wrote about this. Because I listened to all these albums and I wrote these notes as I was listening to them. This is a much slower and almost a Shags heavy metal type album. If you don't know who the Shags are, look them up. The bass and drums are rudimentary. The guitar player is much more talented, but still not the caliber of Judas Priest. And he's even a few notches below Venom. This album gets points, though, for authenticity. The two brothers behind this were born with MS and were confined to a wheelchair. Yeah, the guitar and bass player and the other guy plays guitar and bass and vocals. Yeah, the two brothers were in wheelchairs, thus the name. Now we're going to '84, and we're going to go with Metallica's second album, Ride the Lightning. Now this is different than their first one. There's a little more variety within not only the songs, but within a song. You know, there's maybe some mid-tempo parts in a song, and whereas the first one's a little more. And let's see what I said about this one. Ride the Lightning. It opens with an acoustic passage that is lame as fuck. When it kicks in, they have upped the intensity to equal Slayer. So yeah, when they start playing, man, it is intense. The song for the Bell Tolls, I know that song. It starts with a chiming like the Black Sabbath debut album starts out. And it's also a slower kind of mid-tempo song. But yeah, some of these songs I know, like Creeping Death, but a lot of these I don't know. Like, if you give me the song title of a Judas Priest song, I know which one it is. Not so much with these early Metallica albums. I'm not as familiar with them. Got another one from '84. And this is Hellbanger. This album, it actually was an EP, but this is a Brazil copy, and they added 2 songs. So there's 3 songs on each side. So I'm including it as an album because I love it. It's Apocalyptic Raids. It's fantastic, man. This is very raw, kind of like the Venom, but even rawer than that, man. And let's see what I say about this one. Hellhammer, in the vein of Venom, but the music is slower, and certainly the vocals are even more raw. It's bass heavy in the vein of Black Sabbath. I don't think there are any guitar solos, which is very refreshing. Yeah, this is a great album. And another one from '84, Hellhammer evolved into Celtic Frost, and this is their debut. Rustic, what is it? Morbid Tales. It's a fantastic album. Actually, this is one of my favorites of the bunch, to be quite honest. I really dig this. It's kind of similar to the Hellhammer. And let's see what I wrote about it. Morbid Tales. This is one of my favorite metal albums. It has the best of everything. Such power in the music and almost punk type vocals. I love this record. Yeah. I dig that record, dude. All right. Next. Another one from 84. The last one. And we got Judas Priest, Defenders of the Faith. Now, this is the third Judas Priest. They're heavily represented so far. This album is very similar to Screaming for Vengeance. I don't like it as much because of side 2. I think side 1 is just as good, but side 2 kind of tails off for me. And let's see what I wrote. Defenders of the Faith. I like side 1 more than side 2. It rocks as hard as Screaming for Vengeance. That's what I just said. Love Bites is on here. I think it was a single. It's a bit different. Even Rob's vocals sound different. But I really dig it. The third song, from Some Heads Are Gonna Roll, isn't a wanker, but it kind of does drag on for what seems like forever. The fourth song is the weakest song for me. The last song is another mid-tempo, but it rocks. It's a good album. Now we're going to 85. And we're going to go with Slayer's second full-length album, Hell Awaits. Fantastic album. And it's also one of those reissues, and it's just dead quiet. This is pretty brutal, man. And I remember Middle Earth Records, Tim refused to carry this album because the lyrics were so offensive. And that pretty much says it all. And let's see what I say here. Slayer, Hell Awaits. Dead quiet. There's a long intro, I guess, on the first song, and it's no clicks, nothing, man. The songs are longer on this, but they are still blistering fast. Kill Again is my favorite song, and I think that's on side 1. Yeah. Oh, I lost my days. The vocals on Kill Again are awesome. At Dawn They Sleep and Crypts of Eternity have some slower bits. And overall, this is a great album, but I think I prefer the debut. Next, from 85, we got Anthrax, Spreading the Disease. Now this is pretty cool. It's in the shrink and it has this hype sticker. This record contains not one hit single. And that's true of most of these, probably with the exception of the Judas Priest. None of these were like giant sellers at the time. I mean, as the years go by, they're probably all gold records, but back then, not so much. Now, I saw Anthrax, and it was at a show. It was like a pretty trippy show. It was at the Olympic Auditorium, and it was like half of the bands were like punk leaning, and the other half were like heavy metal leaning. There was DRI was there, Corrosion of Conformity, and those were the bands that I kind of liked the most. And what I remember about the Anthrax set is Mike Muir came out from Suicidal Tendencies, and they were singing a song, and this guy got on the stage, you know how like they slam around, and this guy ran right through the drum set into the gig. They probably took that guy backstage and kicked his ass. But yeah, it was one of the trippiest ways I've ever seen a gig end. I mean, I've seen bands thrash, the Plasmatics. When I saw them, they just thrashed everything, and you could tell they're not coming back for an encore. But this was not planned. And let's see what I say about Anthrax. Anthrax. This is the first album with vocalist Joe Belladonna. The vocals are great, but it wasn't until the fourth song that I was blown away. SSC, Stand or Fall. That song blew me away, man. It's great. The final song on side 1 had a different feel right away. It had an industrial sound almost. Side 2 starts with the double bass drum sound that I'm not really a fan of, and the song doesn't really improve. The second song, Armed and Dangerous, starts out pretty epic, and it stays there for quite a while. That is until they start thrashing. Medusa is a banger from the start, and the album ends with the fastest song of all, Gung Ho. Yeah, this is pretty good, man. And I think the last one from 85. No, we got one more after this. We got Creator, Endless Pain. I believe they're from Germany. This is a brutally fast album. The vocals are fucking intense. And yeah, I was listening to this album actually today. And well, I'm sure. And what was funny is my wife was in the shower, and when she came out of the shower, she goes, "That music's scary." Okay. This starts out at breakneck speed with minimum guitar wankery. There's a few bits where they're kind of mid-tempo parts, but for the most part, man, this is pretty fast. The vocals on the second song, Total Death, are demented in such a good way. Yeah, this guy, man, he sounds possessed. And I was listening to this today, okay, and I wrote, my wife got out of the shower. There's no power ballads on this. In fact, only one mid-paced song, Cry War. Fantastic, hard-hitting album, man. And definitely this has got to be the last one from 85. And we got Venom with Possessed, their fourth album. I don't have their second or third. I want their second black metal. But every time I see that thing, it's a picture disc, and I'm not going to get it. And I've heard their third one's great too. This one doesn't get the love from the critics or the fans, I guess. But I don't think it's as good as the debut, but I think it's a banger, man. It's got 13 songs on it, 6 on side A and 7 on side B. So the songs are relatively short. I mean, the debut, I think it has 11 songs. So, there's no really epics like, how Metallica started doing. And yeah, it's pretty much to the point, man. I really dig the rawness of Venom. As someone that's more of a punk guy. Yeah. And I didn't write much. I just wrote, it's just as raw and heavy as the preceding albums. Contains 13 songs. So I pretty much remembered my first impressions, or my impressions when I was listening to it. Now the first one from 86, which is an epic year for metal. And this is Metallica, Master of Puppets. This is a great album. For me, it's similar to Ride the Lightning to me. I mean, I guess some people like one over the other. I couldn't say. They're very similar to me. And it's a Walmart exclusive. All my 80s Metallica are Walmart exclusives. Except for that EP, that Garage Incorporated they did. I bought that one when it came out because they covered Misfits. I think most people found out about the Misfits because of Metallica. I listened to Metallica because of the Misfits. I asked backwards that way. And let's see what I wrote about this. Probably not much. The last album with Cliff Burton. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. He died in a wreck when they were on tour, in their tour bus. I believe in Europe and Sweden maybe. And yeah, this was the last album with him, their bass player. To my ears, it sounds similar to Ride the Lightning, yeah. Master of Puppets, the song, has a bit in the middle that sounds like Yes. Okay, I forgot about that. Yeah, Master of Puppets is a pretty long song. 8.5 minutes. And yeah, there's a bit in there in the middle that sounds like prog rock to me. This may contain more slower tempo songs than the prior albums, but it's a great album, man. And I think it's, as far as the critics, it's solidified them as the top of the heap in metal. The next one from '86 is Megadeth, Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? Now this one, it's a pretty hard-hitting album all the way through, if I remember right. I don't know if there's a slow song on here. And it's kind of similar to Metallica. I don't think they're quite as good, but yeah, it's a really good album. It's well recorded, well produced album. And let's see what I say. This is included in the 1001 albums you must listen to before you die. The songs definitely flow together. Yeah, this definitely has a flow to it. You know, no song is out of place at all. They're blazing fast, but also very well produced. Yeah, it has some like kind of, I wouldn't say commercial, but very like hooky. It's not like a total underground type record. And it also has some funky bits. Yeah, I forgot about that. There are some bits on here that's kind of like got a funky groove to it. I don't have anything from '87. Though I think, isn't that the year that Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction came out? I don't have that on vinyl. I think it's a great album. I would love to get it. But we got one here from '88. Metallica and Justice for All. Now, I had this on CD. In fact, I had all the Metallica on CD. And when the Walmart ones came out, I bought the albums. And I've only listened to this a few times. This is my least favorite Metallica album from the 80s. In fact, I would say the last one that I bought from them I like better than this. It came out, I don't know. When these Walmart ones came out. This album sounds really weird. It's the first one without Cliff Burton. And you can't hear no bass on it. I guess they intentionally toned down the bass, or I don't know what's up. But even beyond that, it has a really weird sound. And yeah, I'm not a fan of this album that much. It's got, all the songs seem to be epic type songs. 6-7 minutes, stretched out. And I'm not a fan of that shit, man. I mean, you can throw one or two on an album, but other than that, man, if I want an epic song, I'm going to listen to Yes, And that's it, man. The 10 greatest. Now, if you're paying attention, you know I showed more than 10. These are not necessarily the greatest. These are the ones that I have in my collection. I'm not really a metalhead. I do enjoy it, but I don't listen to metal near as much as I do punk or 60s psych or even garage rock. But anyways, I dig all these albums. I dig some of them more than others. But anyways, take care, everybody. This is dedicated, or this was inspired by Metal Theologian. I don't know if it was a video he made or a comment he made about, he was showing records and he goes, these aren't the classic ones that everybody knows. And I thought, well, I'm going to do that, Anyways, take care. God dang, I'm babbling.